October's been 5 years since I finished up my chemo and radiation for throat cancer. About 3 weeks before my birthday, 5 years ago, my throat was sore and I noticed, I thought I had like abscess tonsil or something like that. I went and seen the doctor and they said, well, we need to get you to go see somebody right away. So in the next couple of days I went and seen a specialist and they did a biopsy and said that I had throat cancer, squamous cell. And because of how fast it was growing, it was considered advanced. They didn't really give me a stage, just that it was advanced and we need to get started on a treatment right away. So at first I was looking at just some radiation, like chemo, for like 7 weeks. But then right before I started, they said, well, we saw there was a little bit, a hint of color in the scan in my lymph node. So we need to do 3 rounds of induction chemo, which is like 4 different kinds of chemo. And you go in for pretty much you spend the whole day there on an IV getting this chemo, and then they hooked me up to a pump that I had to wear for 4 days. That was pumping the chemo in all the time. About 3 days in, started having some heavy breathing and chest pains. Finally, after talking to the doctor, we went in and found out it was causing my heart to spasm, and I was life flighted to Beaches Baptist downtown. So that was kind of the start of it, the beginning. So just there were trials throughout the whole thing, and I know you hear about people talking about how things they don't taste good when you're on chemo, and it's more than that. It's not that it just doesn't taste good, things actually taste bad. And so I'd have chemo once a week on a Thursday, but I'd have radiation 5 days a week. This went on for 7 weeks. So at one point I couldn't eat anymore. I just physically couldn't eat. My throat was so sore. So I had to get a PICC line, a G tube they call it, which was a feeding tube where they went through the abdomen and I just pumped in food. There was a point for a few weeks that I couldn't talk, so my wife and I are texting each other to communicate in the same room, which is kind of weird, but it was effective because the chemo and radiation were accumulative. It kind of built up. In October, I finished up the last week of September. I was strong enough to walk my oldest daughter down the aisle at her wedding, which was nice. I really had to push hard to get my strength back and to just get back to normal activities. Still on the feeding tube, I had to see a speech therapist to learn how to eat again. I could drink water, but that was about it. So they would do vital stim therapy, they called it, which is like a TENS unit. It's electric tabs they put on your neck and stimulate the muscles, and it would have me eat pudding. I just really wanted to take better care of myself and do more. I had a second chance. I grew up in Jacksonville and I always wanted to do the Gate River Run. I'm not sure why. I guess it's just all the hype about it every year. So I trained up to run the Gate. And a friend of mine, him and his daughter got me into cycling, so I started cycling and ended up riding with them in Tour de Cure, which is a benefit ride for earn money for a cure for diabetes, and we did the Century Ride, which is 100 miles in a day. And since then I've gone on to run a few of the Marine Corps half marathons, and this past year did my first tri-sprint. And I look back at the cancer, and I wasn't really ever in a place where I really knew where I was. I mean, I knew this could kill me. but I had a strong faith, and I looked towards Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were kind of my role model in the whole thing. Those guys were challenged by King Nebuchadnezzar. I think that's the way you say it. And they were told either they bow or they're going to be thrown in this fiery furnace. And it says, you know what? We know our king can save us, but even if he doesn't, I'm not going to bow to you. And that's kind of the way I looked at cancer. Even I know it can kill me, but I wasn't going to bow to this tyrant.